Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we will be reviewing a Kenya from Sweet Bloom, the Ndimaini, and this is going to be from Berdena's on East 5th Avenue in Scottsdale, Arizona. So before I do anything with this coffee, let me just say real quick, I know this is the second Sweet Bloom review from Arizona. I guess Sweet Bloom has a lot of significance and prominence down here. There are quite a few places that use Sweet Bloom. I've mentioned before Sweet Bloom is my favorite coffee roaster in the world, so it doesn't come as a big surprise to me when a lot of places are using Sweet Bloom. Sweet Bloom, nationally recognized, worldwide recognized as one of the best coffee roasters ever. So seeing them here was a nice little treat. It sounds and looks like to me they use Sweet Bloom a lot. Sweet Bloom's probably, I should have really asked, but it seems like it might be their go-to and what they use here. So right off the bat, I like the shop just for them having Sweet Bloom. I'm going to take a very quick sip. Now, I know I talked about this coffee as well as the Todos Santos before in the Sweet Bloom review video, and I'm going to talk about this coffee again. This gives me another chance to go a little bit more in depth to this coffee, which is really nice. There's a lot of nice things to this. I can compare this side by side to the Heart I just had, another Kenya, another washed Kenya. Both of these, of course, washed processed coffees. And when it came to Sweet Bloom's lineup when I was in Denver, Colorado, this one was probably my least favorite of the 5 that they had. But it wasn't so much because it was bad by any means. It was more so that the other coffees were just a little bit more my type. But that being said, I think that having a little bit more in-depth conversation about this coffee will be very good to get a better understanding of it on its own. And at the same time, we'll discuss the coffee shop real quick in just one second. So we had no manual brew options. Everything was, they had a drip batch brew, and it was this Kenya, so just one coffee option, which is fine by me. If you're serving Sweet Bloom, you're always going to have a decent option. Second place, cream was the exact same way, just one batch brew option, it being a Sweet Bloom. Coffee shop's a lot nicer than I'd expected, actually. I've looked at some photos online. I had some lower expectations. Very small coffee shop, very quaint coffee shop. Different, not as artistic forward, I would say, as the other coffee shops I've been to, but lovely interior, a lovely shop too. I've been impressed with pretty much every coffee shop I've been to. Probably Cream's the least favorite of mine. That one was more art focused for me though. Alright, now let's talk about this coffee, and I'm going to compare it to the Heart from the last video real quick, just so you can kind of get a little bit of an understanding why I like Sweet Bloom as much as I do, why they're in the world-class tier for me. This coffee, it starts off as this nice brown sugar, and it's a terrific brown sugar taste. And I always notice about Sweet Bloom, as it cools down, more flavors come out. Like, it's such a nice experience with Sweet Bloom. That Kenya I had from Heart, it was very like red fruit forward, and while this does have that subtle red fruit, it's not as overpowering. It's this brown sugar that's just extremely nice, and you can just feel it everywhere. And it does have those fruits. Like, you can feel, I want to say on the sides of your mouth, you can feel the red fruit, but it's not as like it's not as acidic, it's not as light, it just feels more balanced overall as a whole. It's really impressive. I think looking back on this Kenya, almost every single bag of coffee is a recommend from Sweet Bloom for me. There have been a couple times where I'm like, I had higher expectations for Sweet Bloom, and like it may not have lived up to those expectations, but it's only because my expectation for every bag of Sweet Bloom is that it's going to be mind-blowing, the greatest coffee I've ever had. And in most cases, they fulfill that potential. There have been a couple where I'm like, this is amazing, but not quite everything I had expected. They have unreasonable standards for me because they are that good. This coffee right here is probably, with the exception of their other Kenya, the best Kenya I've had in the past couple of months, maybe year. I get some more things from it. Like, I do get a tiny bit of that cranberry, some more red fruits, some plums. these sort of things, but like I said, it's just overall balanced. Whereas the heart seemed to be so forward with everything, with the red fruits and everything. You have this little transition where you have a lot of different flavor notes, a lot more complexity, and just overall more sweetness for me, a good kind of sweetness that I really enjoy. For that reason, if Berdena's is using Sweet Bloom coffee, of course they're going to go in the highly recommend category. It's a nice shop. Overall, it's great. It's a terrific place, especially in Scottsdale, which seems like obviously not as big as Phoenix, but very amazing little gem coffee shop for this part of town. And this Kenya, upon second review, a little bit more in depth to it. It's definitely a recommend. I don't know if I put in a highly recommend. I like the other Kenya they have. I wish I had that one written down so I could say what that one is, but this is a really lovely cup of coffee, and I would have loved to have had a bag of this coffee as well. So this coffee also goes in the recommend category. This has been a review of Berdena's and a little discussion about this Sweet Bloom Kenya coffee. Thank you for watching.